Tell me the story. How did you become the attic queen? How did you come up with that name? Like, walk me through, because you came from kind of corporate America and then you made a leap. So what does that story sound like?
It could only possibly be one thing. I was just born to be the attic queen, and it just didn't start presenting itself until I was 34 years old.
Who came up with attic queen? Did you come up with that, or was that like a nickname that someone said and then it stuck?
My brother, honestly, since I was little, called me queen. And it's because I'm not the B word. I've been through a lot. I don't do nonsense. I don't do excuses. So I'm just like,
what is your method? What's the method to the madness?
Authentic content. I operate my business differently. The reason why that training changed my life, I had never heard of the words building science before in my life. I've heard of the word building, heard of the word science, but when you put those two words together, it's like literally a thing.
Welcome to the Superpro podcast, where we hear the founding stories and key strategies for success of the most amazing home service companies from the company founders themselves. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm your host. I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro. I'm on a mission, the same mission I've been on for the last 13 years, championing the pro and everything that I do. I'm super excited today because we have a very special guest. If you're on social media, you might know her as the Attic Queen. Jessica Azarelo is the owner and founder of Attic Queen. They specialize in installation, home energy efficient, based out of Oldsmar, Florida, in the Tampa Bay area. They're on track for $2 million in revenue this year. They have got big goals, 10 employees, 8 trucks on the road. Jessica, thank you so much for making time in your busy day for coming on the show. We're honored to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me the story. How did you become the attic queen?
It could only possibly be one thing. I was just born to be the attic queen, and it just didn't start presenting itself until I was 34 years old. I had worked in corporate America for 16 years. I started my career at Wells Fargo. I did the corporate trainings, everything by the book. What better company to do it for? Learning from a Fortune 9 company. 18 years old, working there, learning, going to college part-time, ultimately ended up dropping out of college because of my success within the corporate world. Anything I've done in life, I really just try my best, and I just want to be a top producer and be that person that comes through for that customer with their needs. And at that point, I'm dealing with their largest asset of their life, in most cases, their home. Build relationships. And over the years, I began managing people, opened up call centers. It was just, at one point, it reminded me of like this little mini Wall Street West. I ended up finding out that I was running the number one branch, and I was sold out of 11,000 people the most. And, that was a very huge accomplishment. And shortly after that, my health took a very bad toll, and I got very sick. I was diagnosed with a severe deep vein thrombosis. I was pregnant. I had the perfect pregnancy up until it wasn't. And it was 2 months of hell. It was great that I get this prestigious award, and then right away my health fails, and 2 months into it, I basically go into renal failure. Everything's supposed to be over. My daughter and I are both supposed to die. But unfortunately, shortly after that, my daughter unexpectedly passed away. Very traumatic. I think that kind of changed me, and ultimately my extreme corporate success, and then like that trauma of like losing something, when it wasn't like there was really no reason for it. So I think that's when I started shifting. It was like 15 years ago. But, like everybody else, you go through the motions of life, and you kind of do what you can to pull yourself out and get back to work as quickly as you possibly can and try to get back to normal. The only good thing I had going on in my life was my career. So obviously I wanted to get back to that. But, when you're number one in the country for such a strong company, I mean, you gotta be relentless to stay there if that's what your goal is and that's what you're, programmed for. So I stopped, just kind of liking it, and just kind of every day I'm showing up and I'm putting out all my energy and doing everything for everybody else to be the best and maintain that, and the long hours. I just really lost myself, and, my health was failing. The company I worked for, we had an amazing relationship. We had worked together 13 years of my career. Wells Fargo, our division shuts down, and it crushed me. That's when things started to kind of spiral. I was in Pennsylvania at the time, And my mom had moved to Florida. My mom loved Florida. So she had finally moved and she'd been here for 2 years. And the company I worked for had a branch in Tampa. So I'm like, I can go, jump on a one-way. When you do lending, you don't have to be at houses and stuff. You can do everything remotely. So I would kind of bounce back and forth. And I just felt so different when I would come to Florida. And I'm like, this is great. Like, I really need a change. I ended up honestly just kind of having to take a little bit of a break. Then I came down to Florida and just kind of got my bearings, ultimately went back to the same company. I'm working. It just wasn't the same. One day I walk into a gym. I end up meeting this person that was claimed to be a life coach. I had all kinds of crazy things that I wanted to save lives, change the world, dance for Kid Rock just one time, and live my best life and make $5 million. And within 3 weeks of meeting him, I quit my career, pretty much just grinding. And I would work with him every day.
How did you go from that crazy story then into becoming the attic queen?
We're almost there, but wait, we're almost there. Now I'm basically figuring out who I am. I'm 34 years old. He made me realize I wasn't healthy. I wasn't happy. I literally had no clue who I was. So the only thing to do was to find the journey to who is Jessica? Like, who is she? What does she do? Right? Like, nobody knows. And I needed to kind of figure myself out. So I'm just grinding. Like, there are days where I'm doing Uber Eats delivery. I went from making 6 figures to having PTO and benefits and 401k and all, and tuition reimbursement and all the good things to like, literally like, you're doing Uber Eats delivery? Yes, I did. I met the owner of an insulation company and he had just opened up his company. He was a businessman, not a building science man. 90% of people across the country need insulation. If you can pick up the phone, if you can do an estimate, if you can show up to do the job, if you can collect the money, pay the bills, keep people happy and pay your people, you can operate a standard business. But it's a lot of work dealing with homeowners and being in people's homes and everything else like that. They wanted to go strictly into wholesaling because they would install certain products to increase profitability on their job site. So they're like, you know what? We're done with the insulation game. We're selling all of our equipment. We're going strictly to wholesale. He bought the equipment, took the business to Florida, and then he started running it. I met him when he was maybe 6 months in. And when he approached me before leaving, he wanted me to work for him. I'm like, look, I just took the handcuffs off after working in corporate America for 16 years. I just need to take the time to figure out myself. I don't want to work for anybody. If you can envision Mr. Miyagi and Daniel from The Karate Kid, that's like me and my life coach. I'm like, I'm 40 pounds overweight. I got cystic acne all over my face. I have these crazy thoughts in my head. I don't want to focus on my breathing. 6 months later, my phone rings and it's the owner of the insulation company. How's everything going? I'm like, well, things kind of took a turn for the worse, but I'll be fine because that's just who I am. So he's like, look, my business is exploding. 90% of people need what we do. Less than 8 hours later, I jumped in the car. I grabbed whatever I had. December 1st is when I started in the industry. I think I said 2018 or 19.
And you were under this other company before you ventured out on yourself.
Correct. Yeah. So I start working for him on December 1st. He wanted me at first to do sales. And he's like, look, straight commission. If you go through a ceiling, I'll pay for the first one, but everyone after that, you got to pay $250, which I wish drywall repair costs $250 right now, mind you. So I was like, I can't do that. Like, I am super clumsy and people aren't going to trust me. I'm a woman. This is a male dominated industry. And quite frankly, I can't afford to pay $250 a day. Like, I'm going to lose my shirt. I wasn't scared of the commission because, again, I used to produce at a very high level. And it's not a matter of selling something somebody doesn't need. Like, this is going to improve their quality of life. It's like a no-brainer. So I was like, look, just give me anything. I just need something. I didn't need a lot of money. I'm like, just pay me something, right, to get my foot in the door. So I was making $300 a week, helping him sort his thousands of receipts that he just threw in a box and all of his work orders and organizing them and doing reports. And then somebody would call out of work. Yeah. I'll pay an extra $150. You have a clean driver's license. Go fill the hopper. Make sure we get paid. Whatever you need. Then COVID hit. And we went from running 1 to 2 trucks to 3 to 4. So I became a team lead. And every job I went to, these people are like, a woman? And I'm like, I'm getting paid to exercise. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I didn't go through one ceiling. And that, COVID forced me into like being comfortable and being around like a male dominated industry. And I'd be in an attic and we would work a lot of times with like other AC companies while they're in there doing duct replacement. And they're like, who's this girl? I wanted to come up with this identity because people are like, this girl, this girl, this girl. And I'm like, and I'm loving it.
Who came up with Attic Queen? Did you come up with that? Or
my brother, honestly, since I was little, called me queen. I don't do excuses. Not much is gonna, like, your excuse on why you're not at work. Like, I don't want to hear it. Anyway, but my brother has called me queen. I bet it probably has something to do with that.
So you were working for this other company. COVID hit. Things were taking off. You were growing from a couple trucks to like a fleet. And then at what point were you like, I am the Attic Queen. I'm doing my own business?
So I was there almost a year. And at this point now, I am the liaison. I'm selling, if I'm having a bad week, I would sell like 18,000 a week. Good week, like the most I ever sold in 1 week was almost $50,000. And we weren't selling spray foam. We're straight retro, top offs, and extract and blow. No air sealing, no building science stuff, no detail stuff, none of that. So I'm working for a year. I'm basically leading sales. I am the liaison between the installers, the jobs, the office people. Then I'm like, you know what? This is really great. I want to stay in this industry. And he's not a building science man. I remember one time I was on an estimate and there was something in the attic. It was like all black and it was batting and it was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, I don't know if it's mold. They're asking me these questions. So I come out of the attic and I call him. I'm like, hey, you know, the customers were asking me, I just sent you a picture if you can look at this. And he just screamed. He's like, I am not the F word mentor, and screaming. And he hangs up and like the color, I just felt it leave my face. And the homeowners were like, is that the owner of your company? They're like, we love you, but we can't. You know, he wasn't a mentor. I wanted to find more. So I find out about this training from IDI, and it's mostly geared towards spray foam, but which he didn't do. But it did have some basics of insulation as well. And I'm like, all right, great. I plan on staying in this industry. I need to start learning. And I'm hoping that because he's basically letting me run everything, I'm hoping maybe we can invest in a spray foam rig. Who knows? But at the very least, this is my first training. It's $250, and that money will go towards, if I buy something, I get a credit of that. So I'm like, this is great. It's in Jacksonville. I only have to drive 4 hours to get there. So he tells me I can go. And this is like a month in advance. So 2 days before, the girls in the office start scheduling me. So I reach out. I'm like, hey, girls, I'm in Jacksonville. Well, you might want to reach out to him because he's in one of his moods and he said to put you on the schedule. So I call him up and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I am on Jacksonville. You know, it's kind of like a threat and you can't work here. And I'm like, okay. So you say today, right? But, you know, well.
That's quite the story.
I went to that training. Yeah, I went to that training.
You came back. You're like, I'm doing it. I'm Attic Queen now.
I didn't think he was going to fire me. And, you know, it didn't work out. I left April 15th of 2021. Attic Queen was official. For a little bit, I still hung around. Like, I would do wholesale. Like, I had an office. I never really went to it, but there was an office. And I remember when I finally cut the cord to clean out the office, it was April 15th. And the last thing I did before I packed out was I applied for my EIN number in the office. And I was like, I'm out. It's kind of like shady, I guess. But like I sold in 5 or 6 weeks. I sold just under $170,000 and he bought a McLaren. And I was happy for him, you know. I felt proud that I bought a man a McLaren. That was great, you know. But next time it's going to be for me. I'm not even interested in that. I like muscle cars and trucks and stuff.
Muscle cars and trucks. OBS Fords.
No Ford. Chevy, baby. Do not say the F word. Do not ever say the F word. Chevy only. Chevy GMC.
So you got, I've got a 1952 GMC that's lawn art right now, but maybe I'll get a chance to get back to it. I'll have to show you. Kick out of it. So let's talk about Attic Queen. So you've grown ultra fast since you started your own business. You're on track for a huge revenue goal this year. How are people finding out about you? I mean, you got perfect 5-star reviews. You know, you clearly have got your website working well. What's the method to the madness?
Social media.
People say that all the time. Like, well, like, how do you do it different?
Authentic content. I operate my business differently. The reason why that training changed my life, I had never heard of the words building science before in my life. I've heard of the word building, heard of the word science, but when you put those two words together, it's like literally a thing. I started this from the ground up, and I had little baby equipment, like an 18 horsepower vacuum, and I had I think it was like an 18E. They were from IDI. What I would do, and I started this when I worked for the other installation company, is I would take videos and pictures of things. So the pictures were a requirement, but the company that I worked for, they used all paper estimates. So you took pictures and you would have like thousands of pictures in your phone, and like
on Dropbox or something, or just hit you on your normal phone.
No, I'm talking about in your photos. That's why I think right now I probably have like over 140,000 pictures and videos, like in my phone, right? So, and then you're kind of like, oh man, the cost into a centralized port. That's why, like, one of the reasons why I love Housecall Pro. And when I had my business, I need to do it. But I would have all this content, and it's funny because when I was working for him, he would spend $15,000 a month on marketing and advertising. $15,000 a month. He was hardly touching any of his Facebook, doing nothing. I was like, hey, why don't you pay me $400 a month and I'll manage our Facebook page? And he's like, that's a waste of money. Sorry. He sounds like that. That's horrible. And it's just funny because like $400 a month when you're spending $15,000. So I was looking at the numbers, and it's something ridiculous that, so the only advertising that I've done since I started my business was boosting pictures or videos of myself or my projects in 5 years of just boosting my own content. And we're just under 3 million gross.
I mean, you've got some standout hits. Like not every reel or not every picture, hits the same.
Consistency,
but some really take off. So that's what I was kind of trying to get at. I think, being consistent on social media is sometimes really hard to do. But I think the thing that you do, which is unique, is like you're on jobs all the time, and it's just post what you're doing that day and just go.
You would think I'm on jobs all the time.
You think so how do you do it?
A lot of people don't know that I actually, about 2 years into my business, I had a freak accident on a job site. I fell and I broke my back on a job site, and I was going to actually shut my business down. When the surgeon looked me in the face and he's like, you will never go in an attic again. And I started crying. To be 40 years old right now and have, in the last 6 years, the growth that I've gone through, and the fact that like I was able to maintain my business and keep it going. If I were to shut my business down, I don't need to work because it doesn't take a lot for me to be happy. Fortunately, I'm very responsible with my bills. That's part of how I built a successful business. Was I would like anytime I made a deal, like I'm saving my money. Like I drove a 20-year-old truck when I started my business. It was $455 paint job from Econo Paint that was shitty as hell. Taught myself how to drive a trailer, like the grind and the fact that like I almost let breaking my back like walk away from that.
So you're healed now. Clearly, you're able to get up in attics.
No.
And you built not going up in attics anymore.
I cannot go in attics. I have so much content. If I'm in an attic, it is
older content.
No, it's either older content. If I'm called to a job scene, the job site, if I'm on the scene, it's either I have to shake hands, kiss babies, do a dog and pony show, or shit hit the fan. Which it hardly happens. It really does. Honestly, the hardest part of getting to where I'm at right now is finding the right people that support you and your mission. It's, I'm part of this mastermind group, and we connect 4 times a month. And, we were on a call actually 2 days ago, and this one, they go through and they ask, everybody that's on the call to speak if there's something they can need. And they're like, oh, this person's new. Amber, how can we help you this week? And I had already spoke, and they're like, oh, and so Amber's my office manager that does a lot of the great content that you see as part of my other secret. She's like, oh, I'm just here for the attic queen. I'm more trying to take more of an administrative supportive role, and this has helped her. So, and they're like, man, how do you wrangle that? Because that was like, how can we help you this week? And I'm like, I'm to the point right now with my business where like I am trying to scale and I have the right people, But the issue is, as me being the founder and the person that started it and that has all the certifications and knowledge and everything stuck in my head, and then just like that, I'm ripped out of the attic. I can never go in it again. And now I have to sit behind a desk and manage and get the right people and keep it going.
It almost forces you to scale your business in ways that previously maybe you weren't even thinking about, or, you know, you really wanted to also be an addict. So it's almost like it's a blessing in disguise in a way.
I live vicariously through these videos and pictures that, you know, my team is out getting. I just bought 3 or 4 pair of meta glasses for all of my team leads or the employees that I believe will take advantage of, I'm doing more KPIs with that. Like, hey, provide me content. This is how I built my business. Like, customers need to see what could be going on in their attic. They want to see the process. And that is why Attic Queen was successful, because I was just going online, going live. People would see it. They're like, that's actually how I got my boyfriend. Like, it's so, I know that sounds like really sad, but one day I started popping up in his reels, and he has a home service company. And at the time, they only had 175 employees. But why I popped up was they would run electrical gas lines through attics, and all of his guys would always bitch and complain. So that all of a sudden one day, like, he sees darkness and a light and this girl with like sweat dripping and bright red lipstick and like pulling up a dead rat and like, yeah, you know, and he's like, whoa. But anyway, that's a whole nother episode on that situation.
That is a whole nother.
My whole life, like,
this is a story. This is amazing. I love listening to you. Yeah, it's a good story. I mean, one thing that I pulled from what you were just saying is, like, you know, you got your employees the meta glasses as an opportunity for them to capture more content. And I think a lot of people maybe don't take the opportunity to capture content when they're doing their job. And I think especially with addicts, because people often don't even go up into the crawl spaces. They don't go in acts. They don't even know what it looks like up there.
It's so crazy. And everyone is different. Like, you assume, right? And the reason, and this is no plug to Housecall Pro. Anybody that's watching this, Housecall Pro does not pay me. I do have a bone to pick with you, especially since you're like the co-founder or owner, which is a whole nother episode. Could be recorded or not. But honestly, Housecall Pro has changed my business. When I first started my business, I started with joist. And it wasn't bad. You know, my first year I did $92,000. I think we did like
but you don't need the scheduling and dispatching and the organization.
I was one person, and it's me texting or hitting up people on Instagram like, hey, I'll pay you like $150. Can you watch my vacuum? Because I had insurance. I had everything legally, but I'm a Taurus, A-type personality, obviously have control issues. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if they go through a ceiling, I don't know how to handle it. I'm like, not that I didn't know how to handle it, but like, I was just scared, and I knew I was going to do an excellent job, and I wasn't going to miss anything, and it was going to be perfect. And I needed to get my workout in for the day. And like, and it was funny because through the grind in the very beginning, everyone's like, you need to get out of the attic and focus on growing your business versus working in it. And it's like, I can't until one day you fall off a ladder and crush your spine and you don't have a choice. So the alternative is figure out a way that you could implement your operating systems. At that point, I think I had just signed up for the trial of Housecall Pro. It might have been in September.
How did you even know about Housecall Pro? Like, how did you find it?
Probably just popping up since I was already an active user of Joist, right? You know how the whole internet works. They stalk you, and
it's like
you guys have probably just knew at some point you needed to have the Attic Queen as one of your clients, right? But no, I knew I needed to do something, and the CRM that I was using at the time just wasn't it. And I'm almost pretty positive. I challenge you to go back and find my lead source, because I'm sure if you're having us track our lead sources in Housecall Pro, you know where I came from.
Yeah, you think you need like something. You think in your brain, you're like, I need a new, better software, and then boom, it shows our ad. We pay high for those ads.
But you got a good one. No, and you guys have really helped me with my business, because again, I'm the one with all the BPI certifications. Like I have my BPI building analyst, I have my blower door certification, my duct leakage certification, total building performance specialist certification. I even have my mold remediation license. And, I'm the one with all of this. I'm the one that could go into a house and immediately know what that smell is. Wet sock syndrome, what's happening with that? I can go into an attic. I can walk into somebody's house and know if they have some kind of water issues, humidity issues, or if they have a rodent infestation. I know before even seeing their attic. I can walk around somebody's house and look for certain types of staining or certain types of ways that there may be access for a little tiny rodent to get into an attic. I can tell before even getting in an attic. I don't even need to go into an attic, right? So I'm the one with all of that knowledge. So now, fortunately, Housecall Pro has checklist that you can instill. And we have a new site, a site inspection questionnaire. So I needed somebody to be my eyes because I don't want to be lumped in as that insulation company that just quotes over the phone. Because to be honest with you, like you said, there's a lot of people that can't get in an attic, don't go in an attic, don't want to go, like, for whatever reason, it's like these scary place. Like, it's really not that scary. Well, it depends. It freaks people out. But honestly, like, if I wanted to continue to operate my business with as much of me still being able to see in and also be able to show customers, like, I needed to have checklists set up. I needed a CRM that had the ability and,
everything.
Yeah. So I love how you guys are, you have a lot of integrations. Where I'm struggling though, as a small business owner that became a business owner by accident, there's just too much. Right. And I always make a joke. I'm like, I am very high. I'm one of those high maintenance, pain in the ass people. It takes me a while to catch on until I catch on and then game over.
And, how'd you rate your tech savviness? 1 being like my in-laws who need help turning on the TV, and 10 being, some chief scientist at OpenAI right now. Like, where in the spectrum would you rate yourself? If you had to score yourself 1 to 10.
It's really sad. Between a 4 and 6.
Okay. Yeah. Some days you're a 4, some days you're a 6. You feel like you know it, and then other days you're like, wait a minute.
One of my claim to fames in high school, I was Future Business Leaders of America president, and we would have school and then regional and then states, right? And I actually won for like word processing and Excel and all of that. And when I worked in corporate America, like super white collarish, like any report you needed and like I'm on top of it. Once I turned blue collar, I don't know what happened, but I'm like, again, Amber is like my saving grace. She helps me through a lot. I really have been leaning in a lot more on ChatGPT. Like I can take a picture now of something, like how we almost got our little setup thing here going with the Behringer mixing board and all of this is like, taking the picture, uploading it. It's not hard, but I have too much going on. So when I start a project and I get caught up, it just kind of ignites.
You're very curious and you're always learning. I think those are 2 really good traits of any entrepreneur, and being able to kind of admit when you don't know things and look for different ways to figure it out. Like even using ChatGPT to take a picture of everything and be like, hey, how do I hook this thing up? That is great. That shows a lot of initiative, but also just agency, all things what are needed. What would you say is an underrated Housecall Pro feature that someone that hasn't used it before, or even someone that is currently using it right now, they shouldn't sleep on, or something that maybe our marketing team should do a better job of letting people know about? Because maybe it isn't an add-on. Maybe it's not like a paid extra feature or something. Maybe it's just
part of the pipeline management. And the reason why I can't express how important this is, my background is call centers. So if you're a home service company, you would only hope your phone is ringing off the hook all day, every day, right? So if you envision your business as like a call center, right? You need to be tracking these calls that are coming in. And Housecall Pro, and we are even set up with is it like called VoIP? Like, am I supposed to
Yeah,
be referring to it as VoIP or is it VoIP? I don't,
I think VoIP
potato,
sounds better.
potato. What
I
is
like
it?
VoIP. Yeah, we call it like Housecall Pro Voice, but it's VoIP. And so I think that's probably the easiest way. But yeah, because it's integrated, you can track all the things directly in one platform rather than having a whole bunch of different things talking to one another.
For the most part, as we know, it has its quirks. But the fact that, like, my goal is to have as least amount of systems as possible. And I know that that's what your intentions are. And again, we went a long way. And the most recent additions that we've done, I think it's been within the last 4 to 6 months, is adding the VoIP, right? Which has been awesome. It allows us to now be able to offer people to work remotely, to talent. And then it kind of helps, with the pipeline. Like, there's different stages, and that's one thing. Well, the one thing that maybe I'm missing, and I know I already have like a Max Pro account already. Like, I have whatever the highest tier, and I have the GPS, and I have all these extra things. Where I'm struggling is I'm pretty sure it's already available to me, but I really kind of need, whether I have to pay extra for it, but I need kind of like a personal coach to go through my team, like not you know what I mean, to ensure everything is operating smoothly. So I think that if it's not a service you offer, it's something you could do to make it better.
And on your plan type, on the Max plan, you can schedule infinite 30-minute calls with team members, whether it's for yourself or Amber or other folks at your company. So we got to make sure you use that, because then they can help you make sure you're dialed in correctly. Not necessarily correctly, because every business is different, but correctly for your business. And so that takes having to log into your account, kind of seeing your workflow and, what stages you have, because each industry that we service is a little bit different. But on the Max plan, you can schedule an indefinite amount of those coaching calls, which you should definitely take advantage of, which we can set you up with. Let's talk a little bit back about life. Like, is there something you would tell yourself, like if you could transport back into the DeLorean and go back 10 years and tell, younger Jessica, what would you tell her?
Say no more often. Until you are in a situation where you could show up for yourself, you need to understand the importance of really what a priority is and what isn't. And sometimes people just want to say yes because of who's asking. Maybe it's a family member and it's just like, I got to do it for them. And it's just kind of like, if you're not in a situation to where you should be doing that, you really need to think twice about it. And I would be a lot further in life if I had learned that at a much younger age. And you need to don't be people's doormats. Say no. Say no.
Say no. Say no. I like it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Until you're in a spot. I am now fortunately in a situation where I'm able to say yes to a lot more things. I'm still very selective, because one thing I learned, opportunity cost. The amount of time that you waste doing this takes away from this. If you're putting your effort and energy towards somebody that is a person that uses you and that depletes your energy, depletes your bank account, makes you feel like you're crazy gaslight. Like, if you're allowing that, that's going to take away from this. This is also going to hurt inside here. So until this is strong and until you're at a point in your life where your foundation is good, that is one thing that I wish I could have learned sooner.
I like it. And still all falls under the say no umbrella. Jessica, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today. If you happen to be listening and you liked Jessica's story or you want to follow her, you can go look her up really easily. At a Queen. You can go to adaqueen.com. You can look at the GBP profile, the website. She's really easy to find, and reach out to her, please. And if you're listening and you're like, hey, maybe Housecall Pro could work for me, you can always text me directly at 858-215-1512 or go to housecallpro.com/podcast deals. And then you get a special discount. I'll give you one too, but I'll get you situated with the right person on the team. And let's stay tuned for another episode next week. Jessica, thank you so much for sharing your Netflix-like story. Maybe one day we'll get to see it on the big screen with us.
Maybe one day. Thank you guys so much for everything. It really did change my business. it's worth it. It'll make things easier if you're serious about your business. But Housecall Pro, you get a lot of bang for your buck, and it will totally transform and set you aside from other professionals. I don't miss the day of the carbon fiber and pictures in my thread. So that's all I'll say. Thank you guys.
Jessica out. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye for now.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.